Next joins us. He's a member of the APC campaign organization in Bayelsa State. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning.
You had the special advisor to Governor Dixon speak on this particular matter, and it would seem as if it's a case of buck passing, even though he has not said anything categorically about the APC. How did this election go for the APC on that day?
You see, it's very, very unfortunate that a man who is a special advisor to the governor of Bayelsa State will come before national television and to start to peddle lies. It's very, very unfortunate.
When you say he's peddling lies, which area would you say you didn't agree with? Because some people might not agree with you as well.
Because let's start with the history of this election. Now, Dixon, the governor of Bayelsa State, started by saying that, look, federal might, they were going to use federal might, they were going to use federal might on me. And then don't forget that this is a man who has a history of, violence. You recall that in about April this year, Dixon, a sitting governor of a state, led talks armed policemen to a high court in Yenegua to sack a court in session. It's on YouTube. That video is on YouTube.
That's an allegation.
Yes, no, it's on YouTube. It's not hearsay. Now, it was a matter between the current Minister of State for Agric, who contested for Senate, that is Henrik Lubobri. And of course, it was an election petition matter that was before a tribunal. And a sitting governor led talks to go and start, and this is supposed to be a lawyer. In fact, the matter is also before the NBA disciplinary committee, because the NBA is going to sanction him for that act, because it's a lawyer. But now, look at history. Few days before this election, the APC had written to the authorities to say that, look, the PDP was going to recruit militants from Delta and River State. And this information was made available to the authorities, and they did nothing about it. Because we are aware that two militants, warlords, we call them warlords, in Delta and River State, recruited over 1,000 militants and paid each of them 70,000 naira.
1,000?
And them.
1,000 militants?
Yes.
And paid each of them how much?
70,000 naira each.
Who paid them that money?
The warlords who recruited them. And so this accusation that is coming from the PDP, it was actually the militants, the PDP who recruited them, because now Dixon's worry was that the governor, Silva was going to use the power of from Abuja, because he knew the means under which he came in. Silva was going to go for a second term. I'm sure you know the history, in 2011, when, of course, the incumbent president then used federal might to disenfranchise Silva. And that was how Dixon became governor. Silva was supposed to go for a second term. And so he was afraid that President Buhari was going to do the same thing. But if you notice from what happened in Kogi and Bayelsa, you know that Mr. President did not interfere with the elections, both in Kogi and Bayelsa. So the aggressors here are the PDP, not Silva. Don't forget that Silva was the one who did the memo. So, Mr. President, I'm talking about
Mr. Inspector, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you.
Okay.
Because the first thing you said when you sat on that chair was that, the man who spoke before you was peddling lies.
Sure.
But you have not, counteracted anything that he said. There's nothing that you have been able to disprove that he said. You're giving your own side of the story. That's what you're giving. Not speaking directly to some of the things that he said.
Okay, remind me of what he said, then I will take them one after the other, if that's the way you want it.
If you say that he was peddling lies, then you must remember some of the things that he was lying about.
Yeah, because that's what I just said now. Because he said that the APC were the aggressors. And I said, no, it's not the APC. That is the PDP. And then he also said...
He spoke specifically to the issue of the election in southern Ijaw.
Okay.
And he said that, because the elections were, how will I put it now? Because the elections had been done in several areas and they were it would seem that the PDP was leading in those areas. The elections in Southern Ijaw would cause anxiety to your party and everybody involved because they have a large voting population.
He lives in Yenagua, and of course we're talking about Oporomo. And so he left Yenagua and stormed Oporomo. Of course, you know what the Electoral Act says on that. That's also an infringement on the Electoral Act. And then you kept saying, why is a man...
They have tried to justify it. I'm simply asking whether or not you agree with them when they say the governor went there to calm the place.
He did not. We were all in Yenagua. It was on radio. It was on Radio Bayelsa.
It wasn't hidden.
It wasn't hidden.
It wasn't a hidden visit.
No, it wasn't.
Didn't that already say that he had no sinister motives?
No. He went there to tell INEC not to go on. So that was what delayed the elections. You can imagine a governor, like my friend just said now, is the chief security officer of the state, going to say, please don't hold these elections. We don't want these elections held. And then you also now address the community, indigenous of Poroma, telling them not to come out to vote. Of course, that will create some apprehension. And so these were the things that delayed INEC.
Why did he say that?
For reasons personal to him, because it's not a struggle. He knew that if a
So he just told the people, don't come out to vote, we don't want elections. He doesn't want elections in Southern Niger to hold.
As far as he was concerned, he was already leading with the figures that were doled out by INEC. And so, as far as he was concerned...
Figures doled out by INEC, as in they were fixed, they were pre-arranged figures?
Yes.
Are you saying are you implying that there was no election in most of Bayelsa?
That's what I said. If there were no elections in Ikoroma, if there were no elections in Sabama, if there were no elections in Yenagua, then what are we talking about?
You're in a way accusing INEC of being part of the compromise.
INEC, what we are seeing now in Bayelsa was a situation created by INEC. You see, there's no way, for instance, you want to hold elections in 8 local government areas, and then you were told, even the civil society groups informed you that there were going to be some flashpoints, and we expected that INEC would have done their homework. For instance, you don't say you deploy 14,000 policemen and you ask them that money, you deploy them that money. These militants deploy...
INEC doesn't deploy
No, what I'm saying is that, no, they work in concert with the military. I mean, with the security agencies. These militants we were talking took over the creeks about 3 days to the elections. They were already there.
Who is in control of the militants? I mean, one would have thought that by now...
The security agencies, I don't want to mention any name.
No, just a moment. The situation of militancy in the Niger Delta should have been brought to an all-time low, in the sense that, you know, these militants should be known, and there should be some sort of relationship between the government of the day and the militants, or even the political elite and the militants.
This is what the incoming governor of Bayelsa State, Chief Militants Silva, has pledged. Don't forget that in 2009, he mopped up all these arms in the creeks. And that was when we had peace. Of course, his memo to Mr. President, late President Yaradua, was what gave us this
amnesty. So he knows them?
So, yeah. So now, what he's saying is that he comes into power again, and APC government under Militants Silva is going to do a second mop-up.
So if he knows them, what are the chances that he did not also deploy some of them?
No, when I say he knows them,